Welcome to Cuckooville by Susan Chandler, illustrated by Delphine Durand. In the middle of Cuckooville there was a clock, a cuckoo clock, but behind the doors of the cuckoo clock there was, well, nothing, not a cuckoo in sight. Instead, every hour one of the townsfolk would run up the steps and burst through the little wooden door, shouting out the time. How they loved being the cuckoo, especially Mrs. Gobbledygook. "Lumpy plum snuffy blaps," she sang from the top of the clock. The mayor stopped and shook his head. Right. From now on, everyone takes their turn at being the cuckoo. Everyone except you, Mrs. Gobbledygook. We don't need to know about your snuffy plums. Thank you. We need to know the time. Actually, it was lumpy plums, added a little boy called Pete, who was quite clever. Poor Mrs. Gobbledygook. No one in the town could understand her. "Dropsy bubbly?" asked the grocer. "Squishy warts?" queried the baker. "What's an ooby newby when it's at home?" questioned the butcher. If only she could prove to the rested cuckoo that speaking gobbledygook could be useful. Then she could take her turn at being the cuckoo again. One day, a strange vehicle came rumbling over the hills. The townsfolk stood and stared. "Who are they?" the grocer wobbled. "Where did they come from?" the baker queried. "I haven't got enough sausages," the butcher shuddered. "What do they want?" the mayor whimpered, starting to panic. The vehicle stopped. The doors opened. The steps came down. "Visitors!" cried the grocer, tossing some tomatoes. "Strangers!" yelped the baker, lobbing buns in the air. "Aliens!" boomed the butcher, chucking his chops into a fluster. The townsfolk panicked and ran in all directions until they got tangled together and landed in a hysterical heap. The stranger spoke. The townsfolk wriggled. The mayor popped out. "Hum honky nubs," the stranger said. "What?" stuttered the mayor. "He sounds like Mrs. Gobbledygook," Pete piped up, but no one seemed to hear him. But just then Mrs. Gobbledygook appeared. She marched right past the mayor and greeted the strangers with a smile. "Nubbly crubs," she said politely. "Nubbly crubs," said the strangers. "Fluffy snobs eggs dropsy wink," pointed Mrs. Gobbledygook. "She's telling them to get lost," hissed the grocer. "She's giving them what for?" barked the baker. "She wants a big sloppy kiss," whispered the butcher. "She's giving them directions," said Pete loudly. "Ah," breathed the townsfolk with relief. "Directions." "Directions," said the mayor, realizing that all the panic had been for nothing. Actually, he felt a little embarrassed. Then he turned to Mrs. Gobbledygook and whispered something. Mrs. Gobbledygook nodded her head and then walked towards the clock. "Bubble-dee-plop, Cuckooville!" Mrs. Gobbledygook shouted from the top of the clock. "Which means," said the mayor, "welcome to Cuckooville!" And with that, the mayor invited the visitors to join them for a jobble-jiggle. Which, to you and me, is, of course, a party! You are now leaving Cuckooville, twinned with Wobbleton Gobbsville. The end.